So good morning or good day, everybody. My name is Joe. I'm responsible for invites and stuff for Telematics Valley. The idea is to gather around these new members and understand what they're doing. Also get we have the pleasure of listening to Naira Dynamics, Autoliv, Anevo, and Futurize. Really cool stuff. For those of you who are not kind of familiar with Telematics Valley, we're a non-profit association here in Gothenburg, connecting the stakeholders, digitizing mobility. And we have one of our founding fathers here today, Per Adamsson, who was part of founding the association in 2001. It's great that we're connecting back after 19 years. All right, I'll leave over to Johan Brynås from Naira. I could also say for questions online, it's possible to chat, and we'll take questions after each presentation.
Yeah, so just stand here, I guess.
Yeah.
Hi all, my name is Johan Brynås. I'm working for Naira Dynamics, which is a Swedish company in Linköping. And I'm going to tell you about the journey we have done from being an embedded software company for the automotive industry to this new era of big data and telematics. So Naira is from the beginning spin-off from the Linköping University, founded roughly 20 years ago. And there's always been two parts of the, let's say, core. It's been sensor fusion, which is basically using existing sensors in the car to kind of create virtual sensors, if you like. And also tires has always been a focus point for us. Funny enough, our first product that almost made it to the market was a slipperiness detector. So it was super close. Everything was integrated, and it was also written in the manual for the car that this is going to be coming. This was like 2002 or something like that. But in the very end, it got canceled, so it never made it to the market, which was kind of a hard thing for us, obviously. But we picked up our other product, which is a tire pressure monitoring system. And at the same time, we got some interest from Germany. So after a couple of years of testing and integration, we finally made it to the new Audi TT in 2006. And that was the first product that we actually released to the market. The other one was very, very close, but not quite there. So in the negotiations with Audi, they kind of said that, okay, with this license price, we might as well buy you instead. So they did. So we have been part of the Volkswagen Group 2006, I think. They also paid the license price, by the way. So. Anyway, so this tire pressure monitoring system has kind of built our company, let's say. It's up to date, installed in more than 60 million cars worldwide. We have grown to roughly 120 people. The majority is in Linköping, but we are present in 4 continents in the world. So we have presence here in Europe, Asia, North America, and South America. And chances are that some of you has our software in your car, maybe without even knowing it. These are the biggest customers that we have today. This is for the tire pressure monitoring. But even though this first attempt for a slipperiness detector was kind of a failure, tire pressure monitoring systems and friction estimators are not that different. So the development of this friction estimator kind of proceeded anyway, because if you are building a robust tire pressure monitoring system, you also need to know about the road. So you cannot just neglect how the road is affecting the system. Therefore, we kind of took this out of the freezer 10 years later and started to think about, could this actually be a product for the automotive industry? And we had a bunch of different demo projects with different car manufacturers around the world. And there is for sure a value in knowing the friction and the roughness in the car. But there's also something missing because you always know the grip beneath the car. You don't know what's ahead of the car, right? That is kind of the missing piece of the puzzle here. So then this new ID aligned. So what if we could connect millions of cars, sharing this information between each other? So we did. So this is this is what really brings the value of the friction estimator, taking it from internal use to the car. Instead, we took the perspective out of the car, describing the surroundings of the car. And it's not only for the car, of course, it's also other kinds of organizations like governments and stuff that are really interested in what's going on on the road. So this is where we are now. This is actually very exciting times right now. We are just a few weeks away from full European coverage of road information. We have been doing commercial, it's very hard to see it, but we have been in commercial operations since 2016, doing projects with Trafikverket here in Sweden, also Rijkswaterstaat in Holland. But now, since this summer, we have our software integrated into cars. They will roll out roughly 2 million cars every year to the market. And just a few weeks away, there will be a GDPR stamp as well. So then the data will flow into the system. And as I mentioned, the obvious customer is, of course, the automotive industry, but there's also a bunch of different stakeholders for this kind of information. The road owners is obvious as well. Other kinds of fleet management systems, insurance and stuff like that. And just to elaborate a little bit more on the different use cases that we see. So for automotive, there's a bunch of different things. ADAS, being able to change the speed or the distance to the next car based on the actual grip on the road ahead of the car. I think it's very interesting field. What we will release this winter is our highly accurate warning system. So basically, based on millions of measurements out from the cars to share this with other consumers. And of course, interesting for commercial traffic, maybe most very accurate ETA calculations and also route optimizations and stuff based on what's actually going on out there. For the infrastructure industry, there's also a bunch of different usages. I won't go into details, I think, in most of these, but many of what they're doing today is kind of resource intensive and also based on expensive machinery. So what we can do with big data is in many cases disruptive to those technologies, but also in some cases complement. But because what we bring to the table is real-time data all the time. If you have expensive machinery, you probably don't do measurements more than maybe once a year or so. So even though those machineries are perhaps more accurate, we bring the real-time aspect. We can detect changes in the road. We can detect when the road is about to be worn down and so on. Bunch of learnings along the way. I think the first one I'm reflecting over from time to time. So I'm from a different industry from the beginning, and there is typically kind of clear who's the customer and who's the supplier in the relationship. But this new world, it's in basically all the meetings, the ones you think are your customer, they're trying to sell stuff to you as well. The companies that you think are your competitors are sometimes your friends, your collaboration partners. It's just interesting to see how this kind of reveals. Second point, I think it's also interesting to keep in mind When I came in a few years ago, there was a lot of talk about self-driving cars. Not so much anymore, not as intense at least, due to the Corona thing. I think so all those cases, they were always the ones with the highest requirements in quality and coverage, but they only had like 10,000 cars a year or something. It's very hard to build sustainable business starting from that direction. It's always better, I think, at least to find the volumes first, find a simple solution, and then build from that. And yeah, acting in this kind of environment, being dependent on integrating stuff into cars, kind of deep down in the cars, you need to be very patient because it always takes a long time. Even though you strike some deals with the data supplier, integrating your software into the cars, it's always a few years down the road before the stuff actually hits the road. And then if you find improvements along the way, it's very, very slow. So I'm longing for the day when we can have a car as a programmable platform, when we are able to do, OTA installations and speed this up. Yeah, and the goal is safe roads for everyone, not only the ones with the system in the car, but also the ones that are driving the roads that are dependent on the governments to clear the roads and so on. Yes, that was the very fast introduction to aerodynamics. Feel free to ask any questions if you have.
The online chat is just booming. Great. I think it's some really interesting stuff. And asking about OTAs, yeah, you probably know that Volvo is just launching our first vehicle with the OTA. So starting now the Polestar 2 and also the XC40 will have these OTA capabilities. Yeah, so we'll see what we can do. Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Just one question
Well, a little bit, not as active as for the car industry, but we are exploring those kind of industries as well. I mean, for sure, there would be opportunities there as well.
All right. Thank you. And yeah, great luck with being a member of Telematics Valley. Welcome to the association. Thank you. Here we go. Next up is Autoliv. And we have Pernilla. So yeah, great to have you with us. Pernilla is back. Yeah, we've seen you here at many events, but now it's for Autoliv, and it's great to have you back.
Thank you so much, Johan, and thank you for having us. My name is Pernilla. I've been here in the position of data before, but since a year almost at Autoliv. Today I work as sales director for digital services at Autoliv, and today I have to be with your colleague. Tejas, what are you going to talk about today?
I'll give you a brief background on some of the driver behavior and safe driving work that we do at Autoliv Research.
So, when being invited to the seminar, I thought we need to have some more food for thought and some brain candy than only a company presentation. So, I brought the best I could find, some intelligence from our research department talking about how we can actually change behavior. We couldn't have a better introduction than from Naira, talking about safer roads. And we're continuing on that same and very important topic. We will talk about how we construct digital services on the same purpose. But for those who are not that familiar on Autoliv, it's a market-leading provider of safety solutions, mainly, historically, within the car, airbags, seatbelts, steering wheels, etc. But today, we will talk about more what we do today. So this is a very long timeline with innovations. And I'm not taking you through the whole lot here, but what I feel is coming out a bit awkward in the coloring here, but the outer leaf letters does actually don't stand for leaf, but actually for Lindholmen, the founder in Vårgårda, who constructed the seatbelt for his pregnant wife, actually. And on the very right here, we have one of our first digital services, which is called Safety Score. For those who are interested, you can download an application called Driving Avatar, and I'll give you the password a little bit later on. So we'll talk about why we work on mobile safety solutions also outside the car. So the why is, of course, extremely important. And if you come out of this session, I'd really like you to be aware of a couple of words here. And one is vulnerable road users. That is around protecting the users, the more than 50% of where the fatalities actually occur, which is outside the car. So Autoliv is now going for protecting, and the vision of protecting even more of these road users. And as you can see, we're up for a challenge. The second word I'd like you to come out with from today is democratized safety. It's about safety for everyone. And as Naira also said, COVID could actually help us here, because it's all about changing behavior and supporting, nurturing a new way of understanding our own awareness of our own driving style when driving. So what this produced is a solution that we aim for, not only being an aggregated volume of data. We have all been a bit dazzled of what AI and machine learning can do, but could it actually change your behavior? And that's why I invited Tejas here today to explain a little bit more on how we can make that actually happen. So what we have is the application only based on the sensors of the phone. By that not saying it's of course possible to integrate it with the car. But in order to have a democratized solution, we think the simplicity of the mobile is just outstanding here. And just to go, Per, for your question, last question on the multimodal transportation. Of course, this will be available also for other transportation modes coming along. So I'd like to invite you to discuss more about the solution as such with me, but now I'm giving the word over to Tejas.
So I guess most of you here have been working a lot with data and data analytics. Oh, here's the thing. I don't. I am more interested in the human brain and the psychology. So, for the lack of a better phrase, I'm here to challenge the status quo and stir up behind its nest. And I will do this by introducing you to human factors. And we will define human factors here as understanding the interactions between people and all other elements within a system and design in light of this understanding. And what that means is that the human sort of takes the central position and we build systems to adapt to the system and not the other way around. To further go into explaining this, I will take you back to a study from 1970s, 50 years ago. A study by McKnight and Adam for the US Department of Transport, where they wanted to identify the behaviorally relevant characteristics for driver education. And they ended up with a list of over 1,000 critical factors. And the thing about these 1,000 is that they are specific to a specific element. So a good example that they had over here was driving on a snowy, snow-covered highway, and driving on a hilly road require two different sets of skills. But driving on a snow-covered hilly road requires an entirely new set of skills. And the various combinations like this end up with almost 500,000 possibilities. And sometimes these possibility combinations are not just additive in nature. So within traffic safety research or understanding why crashes happen and so on, a common form is using naturalistic driving studies. And when analyzing naturalistic driving to capture the natural behavior of people in everyday traffic, one of the things that we have to remember is correlation may imply causation, but not necessarily always. And this is important because when it is helpful to, it is very important that we understand the individual crash risks. But at the same time, we need to remember that the underlying factors of serious crashes are not apparent in everyday driving. One example for this could be driving 99 on 100 as compared to driving 110 on 100 may not necessarily be safer than one another or unsafe in a given context. I'm not saying that you should go over the speed limit, but another example could also be cell phone bans have been in place in a lot of countries for a long time, but the expected outcome of this has never been realized. And this could be because of a lot of other factors, including the extremely talkative co-passenger that you have, or the kids in the backseat fighting, or that annoying song that keeps playing up on the radio every time. And another aspect is that humans are each unique. So let's assume we have a fleet of level 5 automated vehicles. We can expect it to behave in a predictable or uniform manner in a given environment. For example, driving in a school zone at midnight, you could expect 5 cars to go the same way, but 2 humans may not drive the same way. And this leads to the safe systems approach, which you may have heard of in Vision Zero. And a key element of Vision Zero or safe systems approach is to build systems to minimize human error, and where error does occur, to minimize losses or damage because of that.
Yes, could you stand a bit more close to my
Okay. Yes. A common reference that is used today by a lot of people is that 95% or 90+% of all crashes is caused by human error. But it's also important to remember, the same report actually says that the critical reason for the crash is merely the final event in the crash causal chain. So the crash probably would have occurred even without the human error because of other factors such as unsafe road design or inappropriate speed selection. As the epidemiologist and pioneer of traffic safety, William Haddon so eloquently put in his paper in 1970, when mankind was shipping parcels and dropping them and damaging them, or ships were colliding on the harbor, or there were fires, we did not just throw up our hands and surrender to human error, but rather built systems that minimized that. Built the fire department, the Coast Guard, started packaging packages so that they don't get damaged. So where does that leave us? Well, today we are defining safety as the absence of an unwanted event, crashes, collisions, catastrophes, disasters. But that made sense until the later half of the 20th century. But in a world like today, which is so dynamic and there's so many factors, we need to look at the millions of other times that the same event has happened without a disaster and move to something that we call safety 2, where we define safety as the situation or the condition where as many things as possible go correctly, and in the process capture that which can go wrong. When the automobile was first invented, it was a market turning point in how people could go from one place to another. But it was also a market turning point in how people hurt themselves, and sometimes fatally. And today we're at a similar juncture where we have new modes of transportation coming in. And we need to already prepare for this by designing systems adapted for the human and not the human adapting to the system. At Autoliv Research and Autoliv, our vision is to saving more lives. And we do this by working towards identifying, developing, and validating methods to understand and influence the driver's behavior. And we want this to be a driver's own decision. And we define this little influence of behavior as a large. And by continuous collaboration and cooperation with other industries, organizations, academia, and governmental bodies, we will continue defining safety and safe driving in a multidisciplinary cross-domain approach. Back to you, Brenda.
Thank you. So I hope you by there got a bit of an understanding about what drives change of behavior in related to these important solutions. Yet an invitation for networking. We have a recent established partnership and integrated solutions with Wireless Car. So there you have an opportunity of both having an integrated solution in the car as well as a single standalone, which could work very well in the mobile ecosystem when we're, as myself, having 3 car pools in my phone at the same time, doing rentals quite often. I'm confident that this will be the new currency, my driving behavior, as well as the Airbnb certification you have when you get notes or being marked when you're renting a flat somewhere. So that combination, I think, is a big strength. So we're very proud of this partnership. And also, quite recent, we had in many countries, we've seen that the prohibition of the using of the mobile phone are much further strict than in some countries. So with Safe Drive Pod integrated with the same solution, we also have an opportunity of, in a stricter way, actually prohibiting usage, not all entirely, but you can only use for making phone calls and do some navigation, but nothing more. So that has been an increased request from fleets and these companies worldwide. So now we have that integrated as well. So by that, thank you for today, Johan, and I'll definitely like to speak to many of you how we can support you going forward.
Thank you. No questions. No questions. Perhaps if there are any questions or any on the chat, yeah, you're welcome to answer. But we will also be here. There will be a networking lunch afterwards, so there's all the possibility to take. It seems that no one wants to be registered. You want to be registered?
Yes, I didn't want to take the attention from the presentation.
So there is,
I write it up.
yeah, okay, cool, thanks. Going forward, we have yet a new member, Anevo, and they're going to talk about something totally different. In this case, where we discussed a bit what to present, and what interests me is really how you spin out internal startups from your consultancy company.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool.
I'm very excited to talk about that.
Yeah. Welcome to the room. Welcome to Telematics Valley.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us. We're really excited to be a part of Telematics Valley, and we're excited to talk to all of you guys. It feels a little bit weird to stand up here and talk to actually humans, because I've been talking to lens a lot the last few months. So this is going to be pretty fun. So yeah, let me talk a little bit about Anevo. I'm the CEO of this company that was founded in 2015. So we don't have the rich history that a lot of you guys have, but we've been doing some fun things since. We started as a incubator, basically. We were kind of in the tech business and in the people business, and everywhere we went, people had ideas like, I want to build an app, I want to make this easier, I want to do that, and like everybody has something going on. So we figured maybe if we put our minds into it and our like joint experience within sales and finance and law and all of that, and try to start helping people create something out of nothing. Turns out it's kind of hard to make money that way in the beginning, at least. But hey, we tried for a full year almost. A lot of things, learning a lot of things. We realized pretty soon that a lot of these things were digital. We needed to build a lot of stuff, and we decided somewhere along the way that we should hire like really talented people within UX and software development and embedded or whatever we needed to we also need to help some of our current clients with their stuff to be able to get the money we need to go forward with the project we start. So today we're basically, this is a little bit outdated. We're around 50 employees. We're in the center of Gothenburg, and we do both consulting and startups in a kind of a mix. This is some of the clients that we help with everything from workshops to tech to whatever they need. A lot of it is also just regular consulting. But I could do this as well. So the 50 employees we have, they're both innovators and developers. We have one department that's called Lindholmen, which is just mainly back-end. We have our design, our UX and front-end full stack department, and we have systems, which we started a year ago, basically, where we've realized that we wanted to get into the electrification and battery and charging, mainly charging. We have a team working with wireless charging, and we're trying to build a product to pitch to hopefully a lot of you guys. And we also help a few companies with this as well. And in our studio, if you want to talk about something that's maybe a little bit closer to automotive, we're trying to enable people who have great ideas to make them into a product and try them out on clients as fast as possible. And one example of that is when we started a motorcycle company called Vigan. We built a prototype. I think it was in December 18. And then in January, we pushed it out. And in February, we had our first client. We didn't even have a company yet. And today, it's like almost a year later, a little bit more. Vigan Motorcycles is a company where they have fully approved bikes, road legal, and they're going to ship them out to the first clients pretty soon. Enable can't take part for that entire journey, but we do have a good way of enable and trying things really, really fast. And some things succeed, like Vigan, and some things doesn't. But we have a really hard focus on helping out getting to that point, so we know if we could become something. Everything usually starts with a workshop. Maybe one of our clients have an idea, or someone on the street want to come out and pitch something. We have pitches like every week, all through the years, and then we can go through with it. We're going to talk, and then we try it with our clients, and hopefully it can become a startup. Yeah. So if anyone of you are in need of some innovation, let us know. We'd love to talk about tech and startup and help out with techie problems. Thank you very much.
I guess someone here has some. First, I should say thank you for the new website.
Oh, yeah.
That Telematics Valley got one of your developers. So design discussions, but you should all go and look at telematicsvalley.org. Thanks to these guys at Enable. Actually, thanks to a girl called Colin.
Yeah.
That's really good.
We're happy to help.
Yeah. And then regarding the motorbike, I think there's someone in the room who's actually tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you buy one? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think it's the first time in history automotive company has been started and actually have approved vehicles released like almost a year after it started with a factory and assembly in Sweden, which is really cool. It's really something. And to be able to, for us as a company to be a partner to kind of enable that and get it off the ground, it's really, really cool. Now it's bigger than I know. So, everyone has a chance to get in touch with them and go and take a test drive in Kungsbacka, where they're at building bikes right now, or follow them on social medias. That's really cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Great. So last but not least, futurize. That must be futuristic, isn't it? It's quite descriptive as a company name, but we don't know so much about you. I think I'm not sure in this room. You've been very eager of getting into this, and we have another colleague of yours as well, Johan Lauri. If I can mention, it's actually a friend of mine since 30 years without knowing that you work there. It was pretty cool. So we catch up. Yeah. So, but please tell us all about you.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. That was part of a presentation. Tough to come after that, but I'll do my best. I'm in front of the camera first of all. Yes, we're Futurize. We're a consultancy company. We're a digital innovation and engineering company. We believe in craft when it gets to digital building and then human-centered design. How that employs, and let me tell you a bit more. Here's just shortly a little bit of our numbers, where we are, how many we are. We're 20 years old now, so in our 20s. We do form companies constantly. The latest one is not in here, so it's a trend apparently. We've spun off a company called Meltlake, which is really specialized in Microsoft technologies as our Futurize core wants to say fully technology agnostic. So we want to do cool stuff. We have a long history in many industries. Mentioned maybe a few automotive and telco. I think our Berlin office is very naturally because of here maps, and that started our international route. The London office very strongly through telco. And yeah, it's been around. A very mobile, very Nordic. What else to say? I'll go. Here we go. So what do we really do? We can do everything from like ethnographic service research to maintain machine learning solutions. So how do we like summarize that? I'm trying to explain it to you. We innovate. We want to do a very pragmatic with you innovation. I'll walk through a couple of cases how we do that. We have our build. That's where the craftsmanship and engineering comes. And then we like to empower we're usually known for our culture. They've won the best employer of Europe twice. And we want to spread that. We want to empower our clients' teams to be more empowered and do stuff. And that drives our people. And I'm going to talk about it a bit more. What else? Here's how we like to tell you a little story of how we usually do our thing, and throw in some concreteness. We'll get there. People, we start with, as already mentioned before, we're a people business. We do our best to hire the best talent we get. We've been growing steadily for the last 20 years to something we're doing right. We bring that highly energetic talent, millennials specifically. And we bring our cross-discipline way of working together, and then we want the problem. We want something worth solving. That's what drives, especially the energetic millennials. You know, it needs to be worth solving. So that's where our service design comes in, and that's where we want ambitious targets. And we have many clients where we study something and realize that there's no feasibility. Let's not continue. And I can talk about those later if you want, but usually the success stories are the ones you talk about. And then we get into our product service development. That's where the craft comes in. 400 developers, over 100 designers. We want to do something concrete, but we want it small teams. We want to be small, nimble teams who build that stuff. But very often it doesn't end there, or it should never end there. So then when it gets to go with the profit there, it needs to be, when you have the MVP out, that's when the business starts. That's when the real journey starts. Many of our clients grow their money in getting something just out, and then let's see how it flies. No, we need to run the business when it's out. And that's something we've been a lot nurturing. Our spin-off Columbia Road is really into growth hacking and all sorts of means of steering and helping. Here's a couple of examples. I don't know how I can move with the camera. I'm in the roll. way over time. But some examples, picking up the teams today. Allianz, one of the biggest insurer companies in the world. We've been with them building their first ever global digital factory based in Germany, where we brought in how they should do digital innovation, digital service creation, how they should use partners, what they should in-house. And that was the first time ever Allianz, a global insurer, did product development cross-border, which was to us mind-blowing, like what the hell. But anyway, they've gone really far since then. Cool stuff. I'll come back to the insurance piece. SnapScan, I don't know if you heard about Nokia and tires. We talked about tires, really interesting stuff. They came up with an idea. We need to do something. We need to get to the service business. How do we help our clients better? So straight out of an idea into an innovation, into a financial model, into an actual product we've built. The SnapScan, I don't know if you heard it. They're piloting it now they've rolled it out in Finland and in Oslo. A service where you can check your tire quality. I bet the audience here knows way better than me all the depths of that. But we felt really proud. The hardware, the software, the whole financial model, being part of that. A small team with them, super fun. That journey is going on. And then talk about telematics. I don't know if you've heard about Friday, the German insurance company spun off by Bolice Insurance, the first ever, as far as we know, usage-based car insurance service. From the very beginning, we got challenged by an idea. Our team came up with the service vision, built it, rolled it out. Now they have 111 million funding, over 33,000 subscribed users. And it's becoming, I'm already spoiling on my later stuff, but it's becoming one of the most used insurances in Germany. So it's pretty cool stuff. But I sort of like the way, and that's on its journey. It's not like one MVP out and done. It needs to, it's a partnership. If you want to see more of that case, specifically that QR code will take you to the site. It's there. And I'm happy to say that I have been allowed to say that we are on a similar journey like this with Audi and MAN right now. More to come about that later on. So, was thinking of having a couple of reference cases of what we've done to maybe make it more concrete, not just consultancy. What we do. We've had the luxury to work with BMW for a longer while. With them, we've been working on the intersection between energy and electrification of cars, e-mobility, and we've been a lot working on the US strategy, how they should research and design that kind of services. It's a collab, of course, with them. Everything we do together. It's not like we take a brief and come back 9 months later. We work every day with them. It's very interesting stuff. Some you've already maybe seen out there, but what they're coming out now with what you can do with that big energy pack you'll have in the electrified car outside of the actual car. Right? Where is the role of mobility going? As mobility as such is not maybe as big as a business as selling cars right now. Another one from BMW. We got challenged by them to find an joint experience of all of their share. They call it partner services, but it's all of the share now, part now, drive now, the App Store, all so great. A similar experience to all, because they were all, as you might know, many times they're all in their own little pocket, silos, and that's what we did, and that journey is going on. And you might have heard what's going on with share now right now and pulling off of certain markets. We definitely don't think that that's the end of sharing economy, mobility, and data economy. I think it's a fresh reminder of car manufacturers, for instance, what their role could be and should be, and a lot of learnings when it gets to this mobility. So there's a lot of investments going into this, looking at BMW and Apple making an agreement with digital keys. So it's up for grabs. It's just it's forming the industry. We're following this very, very closely. And then finally, I had a Friday case. Was thinking of the telematics angle here. I think I spoiled almost everything already up front, but it's based on actual car usage data. They make your insurance plan according to that. Friday is a spin-off from Bolage, which is a big insurance company in Germany. Fully 100% digital. There's no branches, no nothing. All of them with the digital touch points with mobile. And of course, your car is included. As said, we had a small team working on a lasers, like what should we get out right now, straight out the door. A minimum lovable product, as we like to call it, and then work on it. And it's they're crawling there. Something we've been doing, and if you want more of our mobility thinking, price.com/mobility, you'll see a lot of our interviews and of our offering when it gets to mobility. But we've worked a lot in mobility in Germany. We would love to bring it up here because we're a Nordic company, and that's why I've been active wanting to come and do this stuff. If I have time, actually, it looks like I have a lot of time, but if some of you have, this is a little hobby of ours, but if some of you have fully autonomous racing RC car, our company would like to challenge you for a race. We have one for every of our office, and we arrange races, and the leading one is now called Markku.ai, according to the legendary rally driver Markku Alén. It's our Tampere office that is leading. Our Speedy Swede is still doing its best, but it's fun. We've had many companies just tinkering around with our works on computer vision. If you have something with LiDAR, we're happy to see. But just as a fun thing. Thank you.
You kind of mentioned without saying vehicle to grid. Is that what you were hinting on BMW, energy, batteries?
Yeah.
I guess it's just a thing to mention without saying.
Yeah, it is. And I need to be very careful of what I say.
I think it's an interesting area. Of course, there's a big transformation going on in the industry and in the world. So electrification and actors, we heard other actors working with wireless charging. So someone is doing wireless charging, someone is looking how to use the batteries. Yeah. Someone is putting them to use for normal driving.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think it's
a lot of interest with us as well with cloud transformations and OTX over here.
For the Friday product, is that a normal OBD2 dongle? Would it be a physical device, or is it totally digital, as in only software? Using
that's the path. That's where we're going.
Okay.
Baby steps.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Question?
On the Friday, is it connected to Lindholmen, well, physical devices that are cars, or is it actually following you? When you say UBI, that's actually playing with pretty large.
Yeah.
Are you living up to it? Or are they living up to it? Follow the user, agnostic of.
Yes, is my answer, but I can hook you up with the team if you want to get to me.
Because that's very close to what the actually team presented in an app that estimates your driving behavior for the safety.
Yes.
But it follows you. It doesn't follow the car. It follows the driver.
Yes.
Or the passenger.
Or the passenger, yeah.
Or the walker, or the whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. That was all for these presentations. As we mentioned, there is a website now, telematicsvalley.org. You're most welcome to, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the mailing list. There's also a LinkedIn group. And as of today, we now have a YouTube channel. And this video will go live on that YouTube channel. So you're welcome to like, share, kind of recommend. It will be a new dimension for us when we're in a hybrid mode. we could get more exposure internationally. Let's see. Today we had a few guests online, but hopefully it could turn out to something else. We also have a 5th new member, just to say, they couldn't attend here today, but Publicis Sapient and our friend Philip Bockats is joining as a member. So we'll hear more about them later. I think it's showing great strength today that we got lots of energy in the room, new stuff, and we're also meeting back after the COVID. I like to say this is post-COVID. I'm not sure if we have it behind us. Some of us have it behind us, and then right. So if there's nothing else today, yeah. Perhaps if you move closer, we have microphones here, and
I can come over here.
yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted also to thank you, Johan. So I'm also in the board of Telematic Valley. My name is Petter. So I want to thank you for today, to dare to go the hybrid way and to prepare it. And Per, you probably did some as well. From my point of view, I just wanted to comment this because I think this is exactly Telematic Valley, what we did today, right? I mean, new members coming in, having the chance to present. I mean, we saw the business cases coming up here right now. We saw the friction warning from Naira ending up in a Regent motorcycle, measured later by the Autoliv safety score. And of course, insurance companies like whatever, Allianz or Friday will have a part of it. And we need competent people to put it together. And I think that's exactly Telematic Valley, to come up with these ideas, to network, to learn how to get in contact with the right people at Autoliv easily, stuff like that. I think that's great. When it comes to the hybrid event, I believe in this. I think this might be even the new future after Corona, right? So I don't know if anyone has that camera in the YouTube channel, but I hope that we can get some feedback now from you guys here in the room, but also from the guys online, if we have anyone there. So generally, do you like this? And maybe before we split up here, because some of you might not continue the day, I don't know. Can I have some spontaneous reactions on this hybrid idea? Thumbs up. Yeah. Great. Good. Thumbs up. Yeah.
It's quite nice being able to safely enjoy notice if you might not get elected physically, but you can just stay online and stay safe. I think you're not missing out. I think that's an important part of doing this hybrid event. You can attend me or even if you can't attend this.
Cool. Good. And then also send in your feedback, right? We're trying to be live and Johan reads all emails.
Yes.
So,
yesterday I went through the spam until February 2018.
Yeah.
I got too many emails. Yeah.
I guess on the YouTube channel you can add, let's say, presentation decks.
Yes.
I think a lot of the people who come here are typically the ones that want to disperse this type of ideas into their organization. So if you can, go send your colleagues a link where they can see what it was that was said and also see the material behind it. It's almost like you have a buffet, just start eating.
Yeah. I will try that. It's not emailable. That's this presentation. But still. Perhaps we should mention as well, thank you for kind of thanking me. But, perhaps we should mention that we are thinking about making a tech show. So the board has said, how can we do? We cannot do a big conference this year. It's not possible. But we would like to do a tech show by members for members, where not just PowerPoint presentations, but you could bring your stuff. If you have a cool car, a cool motorcycle, or some cool business analytics, you can bring them. You want to do it in a cool place. We have Volvohallen.
I don't think that's cool enough. So let's try that idea. What about the brewery? Some rough environment, some beer, some stuff, and also really have
safety.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to test drive that day, right? we can test applications. I'm sure. What do you say? Do you want to have that in a creative environment or in a nice environment that is possible? Creative, yeah. Good. And would that make sense to have a tech show like that to give you the chance to present stuff for each other as members? Does that make sense? Informal, just do it. Yeah. So maybe November timeframe. Good.
Yeah. No one
No one has the chance to do that. Right?
All right. So now there's lunch outside. Any questions? Yeah, as we said, just email me. You got my email. My phone number is also public, so I get phone calls from the whole world, even at night. All right. Thank you.